In this module, we will cover the newly combined HIE Notice, an opt-out policy that details requirements for health current and participants to notify individuals of how their data is made accessible through the HIE, and, if the participant requests, provide an opportunity to opt out. The policy details requirements on the HIE Notice, which is provided to the patient to inform them of their rights regarding data accessible through the HIE, health current's responsibilities, participant responsibilities, and opt-out and opt-back-in implementation. Arizona law requires participating providers to provide individuals with a copy of the HIE Notice of Health Information Practices and the opportunity for the patient to opt out of having their data accessible through the HIE. This policy applies to health current and healthcare provider HIE participants. Health Current does provide individuals with a copy of the HIE Notice within 30 calendar days after receiving a written request for that information from the individual. Health Current also provides the HIE Notice on our website under the Patient Rights Process Toolkit tab. Healthcare provider participants must distribute the HIE Notice and document its distribution as required by Arizona's Health Information Organization law. Specifically, a healthcare provider is required to distribute the HIE Notice under the following circumstances. The healthcare provider or its business associate makes data generated or maintained by the healthcare provider accessible through the HIE, or the healthcare provider accesses data directly through the HIE. A healthcare provider is not required to provide the patient with a copy of the HIE Notice of Health Information Practices if it only indirectly receives data that originated from the HIE through an accountable care organization, clinically integrated network, intermediary organization, health plan, or similar organization. However, a healthcare provider who makes its data accessible through the HIE indirectly through an intermediary organization must distribute the HIE Notice. Except as otherwise provided in state or federal law, an individual may choose not to allow his or her data to be accessible through the HIE. If an individual chooses to opt out, the individual must share this decision with their participating healthcare provider, who will communicate the patient's decision to opt out to Health Current. Participants will honor an individual's choice to opt out of HIE participation, but must not improperly encourage or induce an individual to opt out. A participant healthcare provider who receives an individual's completed Health Current opt-out form must notify Health Current of the individual's decision to opt out of the HIE within 15 days of receipt. A healthcare provider participant must notify Health Current using the following methods: by completing the bottom section of the Health Current opt-out form and securely faxing it to Health Current, or by utilizing a mutually agreed upon method for capturing the individual's opt-out decision electronically and transmitting that decision to Health Current. Health Current will assign an opt-out status to an individual within 30 calendar days of receiving the individual's opt-out decision from a healthcare provider participant. If an individual chooses to opt out, his or her data will not be accessible through the HIE, even in the event of a medical emergency. An individual may choose to opt back in at any time. To opt back in, the individual must either complete a Health Current opt-back-in form and return it to a healthcare provider participant, or otherwise indicate in writing an intent to opt back in, such as by signing an authorization or consent to disclose individually identifiable health information through the HIE. A healthcare provider participant must notify Health Current within 15 calendar days of the healthcare provider participant's receipt of the Health Current opt-back-in form. A healthcare provider participant must notify Health Current using the following methods: completing the bottom section of the current opt-back-in form and securely faxing it to Health Current, or utilizing a mutually agreed upon method for electronically and transmitting that decision to Health Current as described for implementing an individual's opt-back-in decision. Health Current will implement an individual's opt-back-in decision within 30 calendar days of Health Current receiving a completed Health Current opt-back-in form. Thank you for watching.